So the first task is to get out the docks. You know, you get your boat and then you go through the lock, or I actually go down the mud now because I'm banned from the lock.
How did you get banned from the lock?
Well, I'll tell you at the end of this trip, yeah. Anyway, so assuming you can get out the dock and you get down the bank and you're there at the right time, for instance, 2 hours before low water, so the water's flowing out and it'll take 2 hours to get to the sea. Then you just follow the flow and you go, oh, this one, you go up here, and you just follow it along. And there's nice things along the way. There's herons and all sorts of animals, ducks. And then eventually, you know, like all good journeys, the terrain changes. You've gone through probably the biggest gorge in the country, the Avon Gorge, and you go out into pasture land, and then you come into Avonmouth Docks, which is where I think it's the biggest importation point of coal and of vehicles in the country. So it's quite ugly. And then you get to the mouth of the Avon into the Severn Estuary, and that's quite an interesting spot, especially when the water stops and then it's going that way, it stops, and then it goes the other way again. One of those experiences in life. Anyway, so we'd done this many times, backwards and forwards, and then I thought, well, it'd be really good to go out into the estuary. It's probably the most dangerous waterways in the world. You know, the currents are, 10 to 15 knots. The water goes up, as I said, up and down 13 meters. There's quicksand there. You know, even the most experienced canoeists that I'd met in Bristol had never even been out in the Avon Gorge. So, you know, they thought it would think you're completely, absolutely insane. That's probably why I'm banned from going through the lock, because they're worried for my sanity. But it's actually quite a nice place out there, and people used to regularly work out there. Anyway, in here, so you can see this portion of the trip is actually going out to this island called Denny Island. So as I said before, it's all planned to a resolution of about 10 minutes. If you get there late, well, you won't get there. You'll actually find yourself going backwards. It's a very nice island. The thing I like about Bristol is the city centre is very close physically to wilderness. So even in the centre of town, there are, I know in every city centre there's patches of wilderness, but there's you can go to large areas of wilderness in the city centre. I go fishing there, for instance, and nobody else goes there. So to be able to canoe out to an island, no one else will go there ever, is very valuable thing. Anyway, wasn't on this trip, it was on a subsequent trip. I was just going down the river to Avonmouth, really relaxing kind of trip. And then I don't know if you ever have these feelings sometimes, like, oh, this could be actually a special day. The weather's quite good, and I'm a bit early for Avonmouth, but I'm just on time for Denny Island. I could actually go there by myself. I haven't got all the right equipment, haven't done all my planning, but anyway, so I went there. It's a perfect trip there, perfect trip back, but it was about 50 kilometres or something. Very tiring, I had to carry the canoe at places. And anyway, I got back to the lock, or before the lock, about 3k away. I like to do things by the book, so I always carry a marine radio. And so I was calling the lockmaster, like, hey, ship to shore. And they're ignoring my things. And I got to the lock and climbed up and said, hey, is your radio broken? Was my radio broken? Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Got into a little argument because they'd been ignoring me, which is against the law. A ship, you have to respond to a ship call. And they wouldn't let me in. And I don't know if you've experienced this when there's kind of misuse of power. It's the person with the less power who actually becomes banned. Yeah. Instead of the person who refused to let you in and swore at you and put your life and others at risk, they don't become disciplined because they're in power, have power, and you actually are the wrongdoer, and you get punished. So I'm actually banned for that reason. That wasn't your question, though, was it?
Well, no, it was a neat way of beginning the question. Yeah. So now you can't go through the lock, but you take a circuitous route, because one of the wonderful, this is actually, it's in the form of a guidebook, so it actually tells you, it seems to be a wonderful invitation to get people to go and do this.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's for.
Complete with the appropriate safety protocols, I suppose, and lists of what you should take. So it has that kind of that wonderful feel of one of those sort of outdoor guidebooks that kind of help you negotiate your way through an unknown landscape, but in a way that is just. So how you negotiate the locks is fascinating. So do you want to talk about how you take the canoe? There's these incredible descriptions of lowering canoes into water and lifting them up again, but I'll let you kind of explain how you negotiate all the different stages of the journey.
Well, one thing about being a provocative artist is that often you forget that you are, and that's when you let your guard down. So, to be in a canoe and to be expecting to be let into a ship lock, for them to let a canoe through, they have to release, I think it's 1 million gallons of water. From the docks into the tidal haven. But I do have the right to do that because I have a license. I bought the license as a ship. I have a ship radio, and I probably don't even need a canoe. I could probably be swimming as long as I had a little boat on a string behind me. I'd be classified as a vessel, a master of a vessel. So anyway, so
this is you taking on
following
the of a vessel rather than of the identity of a subject. So it's the reverse of your synthetic humans. You're a synthetic vessel with your radio and your identity shifting. Yeah,
I guess so. Yeah, but my main thing is to get out the lock and go canoeing safely. But it's obviously pushing their buttons a little bit to have someone to do that, and they consider, these are guys who have been merchant seamen or military officers, and they've been in big boats. Seen their friends die at sea and all that. So for them, they don't want to go near the water. They don't want to go near anything like that anymore. They just, they're there. They've got the levers. That's it. So for someone to then remind them of that, maybe that's a bit threatening. So anyway, sometimes, as I said, sometimes you forget that you're actually being provocative, just in your very just in your movements. Even if you don't intend to be threatening, it can be perceived as being threatening somehow. You're not quite sure how you're treading on people's toes. But now, anyway, I don't go through the lock now because one thing about abuse and kind of violence is that it actually works. So every time you go through the lock, they're actually rude to you. After a while, you just go, all right, guys, I'm going to go down the mud. Yeah. So that we do it that way now.
Yeah. Different way of doing it. Do you know if anyone? Have you had people who've have followed in your footsteps, as it were? Because this is designed to kind of let people do that if they want. So recreate your route.
It's called Avon Canoe Pilot. So that's the book. We call ourselves Avon Canoe Pilots, and people consult us. For instance, taking some people out on 29th of June. They could probably do it by themselves or with that, but it's more fun. It's a way to make friends.
And who are they? Are they wanting you to show them how you do this as an artist, or just as a?
They're not interested in. They're not interested in the art stuff. They just want to, they got a boat and they want to go out and they want to just fast track it, get straight down to the estuary safely, have someone around that say, no, don't do it like that, and then that's it, and they don't need to see me again.
Right. So it's very literal guiding through territory. Then you are guiding people through the landscape in a very practical way, as well as doing it for your own purposes.
Yeah, there was some artist in Bristol. I can't remember his name now. He's quite famous, but he had some rock that he was trying to float up.
Really?
Yeah, float up from the sea.
That would be Richard Long then?
No, it wasn't him.
Okay.
It was, he did a show with Richard Long.
Right.
I remember his name. So we went along and said that we could help him. He wasn't interested because most artists, aren't interested in collaboration. They're very this is me. I'm a brand, and I want to get to the top. Yeah, conformism. So I forget that as well because most of the people I work with aren't really interested in that. And this person was really rude. It's just like, get out of my face. I don't want you working on my project. So.